If someone does not believe what I believe, that's not a threat to me. I don't lead with the fact that I'm an LDS person. I don't want people to treat me differently. I don't want someone to feel like I'm going to judge them also. Even if you are out of the church, you cannot escape the church. Like, the church is everywhere. The church influences a lot of things that you don't have control over as a citizen. That creates a really big divide. Ooh, I love ones of people making the same pose in different places. Here, different outfit. There's also something that's so human about seeing someone in a not perfect photo. When these are the sort of photos you're looking at, your brain kind of starts to reprocess what you were taught was beautiful. I love the tension between what attracts you versus like what repulses you. I feel like that's something that comes up a lot in my work, because it's like you're fighting a little bit with like your own human nature about wanting to understand an object, but then also your morality kind of comes in and tries to dictate what you do, which I actually think that ties to religion a lot. That concept of the natural man, we're always trying to compete with and trying to suppress this thing that we naturally want to do. You have to sort of find a space where you can reconcile those things. And I think a lot of that is like where my art practice comes in. I like the idea of visual mystery. There is like a sense of dark humor a little bit in what I do. Being an LDS person, specifically an LDS person who is in addiction recovery, because that's a big chunk for me, is I think it comes down to the belief in a higher power. For me, that is something that's been really crucial for my recovery. Feeling that there is someone, that something, a force, an energy, whatever that may be, that thinks that I'm not an inherently bad person and wants good things to happen to me. It's a sense of relief. It's also like tied very much in the belief that I can change, and that if I can change, then other people can change. My home life was tumultuous. I experienced a lot of very horrific things. Things that I also did not know until I was older were wrong. My parents got divorced when I was 8. My dad was not a great father or person and was not involved with my upbringing at all. We didn't have any money. We lived at the library. We would go to art shows and we would go to, free events. And in the 80s, my mom went to New York. Her and her friend, who's my godfather, started doing like off-Broadway theater company stuff. My mom was always doing theater, so we would always hang out in the green room while my mom's performing. And, I was always drawing back there. And so that was just like how it was. We were kind of like a 3-person singular unit, my mom and my sister and I. I feel like my relationship with the church and also with the idea of like the family unit was very different than a lot of what was prescribed to me. I think I was able to find a lot of other figures and people that I felt safe with and that felt like family. The majority of my mom's friends are gay or on the LGBTQ plus spectrum. It never felt like these people are good, but they're not good enough because they're not Mormon. I think the church as an institution brings people together and forces you to love them. People that you would never interact with, people that you would never be friends with. It brings them into your life, and it also makes you try to see them in a more vulnerable state, a more flawed state. And I think in turn that it's healthy to view yourself in a flawed state equally. And I think that that's something that the church is good at. I don't feel like I'm a typical member of the LDS Church. It can be very lonely to be in the center of this. There is more loneliness when you are treated differently on both sides of the divide. When You just kind of want to be accepted as your one singular authentic self. The loneliest sense has been within dating, because I've never been able to find a person who shares my current sort of belief system, which is very individual, so I don't necessarily expect that to happen. Sometimes it can be hard to bond with people about spirituality or their spiritual experiences, because I have found that a lot of people, when they leave the LDS church, it usually takes a while, or maybe they never choose to develop any other type of spirituality or have any other type of spiritual practice. We are constantly participating in structures that don't fully align with us. But there are also parts that maybe we still feel like are valid. I think it's really powerful and can be really powerful to be part of a structure that is damaging to people and to validate someone and say, I'm sorry that that happened to you. You know, I can't speak on behalf of the entire church, but I can speak on someone who goes to church and can maybe understand a little bit where you're coming from, or can see why that would happen or why you would feel that way. And I'm sorry that that happened to you. I made a mask of my face during the pandemic, and I shrink wrapped it, and it's egg salad. I did that because I thought it was funny. So that's why I made this. You are creating ideas around what you think this being or this force is, which feels creative. The risk is a huge motivator. You think about when you make something, typically you don't love the thing that you're making the entire time that you're making it. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of times that you probably want to quit or start over and abandon it completely. The risk that it could be something good is a motivating force, right? For me, that's what happens when I'm with believing in God. As an adult, I have found that nothing is actually black and white, and that hurts. You hate it. You want the clarity of the yes and the no. Staying and participating in religion for me feels like a way that I can rewrite the script that I gave for myself when I was younger. I use it now as kind of a way to, I enjoy questioning. I enjoy not knowing the answers to things. I know the things that don't work for me in the church. I also know the things that don't work for me outside of the church. I feel grateful to be able to be in a space where I can be open to both of those things changing. And that's a continual fight, and that's part of the reason why I do it. Because I feel like it keeps me in a space where I'm actually being honest with myself.